standards. He addressed the fact that earlier this year he fired many senior military officers who he said were promoted based on quotas and historic firsts. As we remember, many of those senior military officers who were fired were either women or people of color. So he was implying that they didn't necessarily deserve the rank that he get. And he sort of ended his remarks by saying, listen, if you guys are not okay with these rules, do the right thing and honorably resign.
Okay, Priya, thank you. General, given what we heard from the president and the defense secretary, was this a worthy gathering, and was it necessary for hundreds of the nation's top military officials to be there in person?
Good to see you again, Chris. It is always worthy to get your senior leaders into a room and talk. By the way, this is a one-way exchange, not a dialogue. It's about team building. It's about building confidence, setting a vision. And I think a lot of the generals or the senior officers felt they were getting lectured to. They're trying to do the right thing. And so I think it was awkward, also very expensive to fly them in from distant points of the world, including with some of their staffs. But I'm going to just go back and say the unity. How are we? How are we going to pull ourselves together? And also then the discussion of the Secretary of War. That was deliberately changed after we won World War II, and to the Secretary of Defense, and that was going to be a military, a U.S. defense that is all doing, but works with the world. That's the way it kind of looks like to me. And I get the sense that we're increasingly us against them, which could be, I worry, is a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, we also heard some familiar things, Reed, in the president's speech today. He attacked Joe Biden.
The President of the United States signs your commission, as you know, and that commission is beautifully displayed. And I sign it. Actually, I love my signature. I really do. Everyone loves my signature. But I signed it very proudly, and I always think to myself, how can you have an auto pen sign this? It's just so disrespectful. To me, it's just totally disrespectful. And it turned out that almost everything he did was signed by auto pen, except for when he gave his son, Hunter, pardon. He signed that one. And that's actually the worst signature I've ever seen. That was so bad. The auto pen looks much better.
He also aired grievances about the Nobel Peace Prize. He mused about making Canada the 51st state again, although there are some small businesses there have made some money with caps and T-shirts that say never 51. But was this speech purely political? This was not military policy? Or could you make the argument that this is the military we want and we need you to understand this is the military we plan to have?
Well, let me say a couple things here, Chris. One, the only thing worse than Zippy the Pinhead getting up there and doing what he did was having the Orange Pumpkin get up and do what he did. Now, let me just say this, like for Pete Hegseth, right? Now, look, I'd be as skinny as he was if I lived on a steady diet of Zen pouches and Jack Daniels. But like the idea that he goes around explaining why it's not okay for people to be fat in the military while the president of the United States waddles around the West Wing, you know, talking about people's signatures is ridiculous. And I mean, you know, let's expand the aperture out here, Chris. Like our opponents, our adversaries are watching this and they're laughing. They're laughing at us. These are 2, 3, 4-star, 1-star flag officers. These are men and women who have dedicated their careers and their lives to serving our country. Many of them have probably served in combat. Now they have to sit here and have these two idiots tell them, one, what it is they need to do, and two, talk about auto pens. I mean, it's a ridiculous, ridiculous expression of political authority. And I'll tell you what, like, as Americans, we should feel sorry for the men and women in uniform that they now have to take orders from these two.
Well, Priya, I want to have you take us back inside that room, if I can, because the president actually joked about the quiet reception he received today. Take a listen.
I've never walked into a room so silent before. This is very... Don't laugh. Don't laugh. You're not allowed to do that. You know what? Just have a good time. And if you want to applaud, you applaud. And if you want to do anything you want, you can do anything you want. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank, there goes your future. But you just feel nice and loose.
Tell us a little bit about the mood as you felt watching that and experiencing that.
Yeah, I want to clarify that I wasn't actually inside of the room. They only had a pool journalist in there, so I wasn't able to actually see any of the reactions, at least the facial reactions of all of those senior military officers and enlisted leaders who were in there. However, I can say that during Secretary Hegset's remarks, it was notably extremely quiet, not much reaction as he was outlining those 10 new policy directives. At the end of the speech, there was a round of applause, which is sort of standard at the end of remarks. When President Trump made that joke in the beginning, which was also, frankly, a threat that he was going to reduce them in rank if they didn't laugh at his jokes and applaud him, there was laughter after that. And there were a few different instances of laughter as he was making a few jokes throughout his speech. But remember, as we've discussed here,